Okay, so Falco 1974. Let's go for d4. And let's play some kind of London system setup with bishop f4. e6, e3. Knight f6. And let's go knight d2. Doesn't really change too much. And so the London is a way to, it's viewed by many club players as a way to just get a reasonable position without having to learn a million lines of theory. That's sort of how club players view it, and at the same time it's very popular at the highest levels because it's seen as good as any, if not a very good way actually, of trying to carve out an advantage. In this case, I'm actually going to go for h3 against bishop e7. Normally, almost always, they put the bishop on d6 and they challenge this guy. Now, he could be playing bishop e7 to then go bishop here, but I doubt that that's his intention. And even if he does then go here, I can actually take, and play some positions like that with the bishops off. The reason, by the way, why I say this is that against bishop d6, most of the time they drop the bishop back to g3, and they plan that if you take, they'll take back with the h-pawn, and then you'll have like this kind of structure with a semi-open h-file, which is considered to be in white's favor, slightly in his favor. If you've inserted the move h3, then you can't drop the bishop back, because after bishop takes, you don't have h6, g3. But the idea about h3 is that if I put my knight here on f3 too soon, he might go knight h5 and scoop up this bishop. So I'm trying to sort of have the best of both worlds. And I think that in the end, I more or less have managed to get that. So he's going for some kind of setup, a little bit like what do you call it? Well, some kind of Nimzo setup, not Nimzo, Queen's Indian setup at some point. But in the end, he didn't quite do this. It's some kind of strange mix. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's playing too much according to theory. He's playing quite quickly and quite confidently, but I'm not sure to what extent he's following theory here. Yeah, so the idea, by the way, with capturing here is that if I want to get in the move e4, then he might be able to play pawn takes at a good moment when I don't really want to play pawn takes back, leaving myself with an isolated queen's pawn. And where my knight actually might be better here than driven to d4, where black can quickly engage with that essential knight and exchange it for this more passive knight. So first I capture, and then I play e4 for the central break. He goes knight d7, that invites e5, because that's going to be pushing him back. And now what I really should be thinking about is this move bishop takes h7, king takes h7, knight g5 check. If king moves, then I can go queen h5, and probably that means he would have to put a knight here, pawn takes, knight takes, and then queen there. Looks quite good for me. On the other hand, takes, knight g5, king g6, queen here, knight takes e5 is very bothersome there, probably. I could go queen g3. It's getting super messy there. Super messy, but maybe it's actually quite good. Maybe I could even go queen h4 in that. Queen g3. Queen g3 with a bunch of threats. Queen f6. Such a mess. Such a mess, but it looks quite decent for me. Intuitively as well, the king on g6, most of the time these sacrifices are working pretty well. And even when they don't work, they can be very difficult to solve in practice. Of course, another idea though is to just go knight g5. Maybe this is a little bit less risky, because then if he goes h6, I can actually cheekily play knight h7 and just say, I'll take this rook, which can't move. And if he goes g6 here, I can go knight takes h7, king takes, and then I have queen h5 check. And maybe I have something there, but I'm not seeing anything, because after king goes back, I could sack another piece, takes. But in the end, he has knight g7, defending everything, and maybe I'm just down two pieces. So that's not looking so promising either. I'm going to go for bishop takes. I think this is the principled approach, and maybe he'll have something. I didn't stop to consider king h6 at all because knight takes f7. He doesn't believe in king g6, which I think makes a lot of sense. So instead he's opting for this line. One approach that I have here possible is to just go queen h4 immediately. My idea was to take knight takes and then go queen h4. But the question is there some kind of difference where I should be going queen h4 first? Does it actually make a difference or not? For example, if queen h4, he could go rook e8, pawn takes, and then capture with the queen. The point being that after, if I check, the king runs, and then I have some moves, whereas pawn takes, he has to play knight takes. So it's kind of a good enough reason for me. I'd like to check a little bit better, but I don't have so much time. Yeah, this is the problem, that there was this move against, in this particular move order, he has suddenly this option. But it doesn't feel so scary. I mean, the material is level, and he in theory has some issues on this square, no? Let's go, for example, rook e1. The issues on the square that I'm referring to is just on h7. It feels to me like I should have some kind of an attack here without paying a particularly heavy price. I think the heaviest price I've paid is just a time situation. I've burned more time on my clock than my opponent, but that's not expected because my opponent is not unexpected because my opponent has been playing fast. In general, seems to be just a player who plays fast. Yeah, here one idea I have is just the move knight f3, I guess, and I want to plant that knight on e5, which is kind of a pretty square, I think. And yeah, so he goes e5 as well, but I had this idea of to just take this pawn, and then the point is I'll take here, and then little tactical... oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I actually just miscounted completely, guys. I'm in bad shape today. My opponent just took. I was so confident there, thinking, yeah, this is game done and dusted. A little bit embarrassing, guys. But my material count, I thought, wow, I just completely completely miscalculated. So one thing that I had as an idea was rook here, knight here, and this idea, and he cannot take because of queen here. But I thought queen e5 and then queen f5 and stuff like this. So I thought I'll go here and then I'll go here. And then I thought, oh, beautiful tactical point, exchange everything, and then this beautiful move queen h8. And it just turned out to be completely BS. And then only afterwards, when I did the actual count, I realized it's very pretty, but I literally dropped a piece, right? Because at first I gave so much material here. I gave one piece there. So I gave one piece there, and then I just recovered a pawn, right? So it's like, looks very pretty, but there was a sacrifice like this actually in a game before by, who was it? I think it was Petrosian or something like this, but I'm no Petrosian, and yeah, the situation is very bad here. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie, but he gives me this pawn, which gives me some faint hope, and then I'll go knight here, and I'll try and hound him a little bit. The problem is the guy is a very fast player. He's demonstrated this, so yeah, I think that makes it extra difficult. A4 to flag him, but let's. Should I do that? A4, bishop takes A5, knight E5, takes. That seems too much. Okay, let's go rook C1 or rook E1. Let's go rook C1. Rook D2 is what I expected, but now I have this move knight A6. And if rook takes, knight takes B4. I think that the problem is it's going to be extra difficult to flag him. But if he does continue to play so fast, he runs a higher risk than most players would of making mistakes, right? Of making significant mistakes. Now, in this case, the problem the problem is that his position is so good that it's kind of hard to imagine where the mistakes might come, but you never know. Yeah, rook e3, it's a very, very cheap tactical idea. It's not a very good one, I don't think. It's just, okay, but here, maybe now rook e5. At least I will play this move, I won't think about it too much, because at least I'm now hitting two pieces. Both in a line like this, maybe there is some tactical way to solve the problem for him, but definitely this I don't think was intended by him. So yeah, and in fact in this position, the reason rook e3 is not so good is because rook d1 check, king here, and then I think he can take the pawn. But you have to be careful. He's played the whole game very fast, and that can be an effective strategy when you, you know, when you're maybe in the earlier stages of the game, the position is quite balanced, and suddenly your opponent in a balanced and complex position, he keeps rattling out moves. And so you're thinking to yourself, if I don't play quick as well, then I'm going to lose on time. It's going to build up too big of an advantage. And if I do play quick, then I feel like I'm being hurried up, right? But then, you know, if your opponent decides to brilliantly sacrifice a queen in order to end up down a piece and in a hopeless position, you need to really settle down and try to make the most of your position. Because this position here, I mean, to be fair, the nice thing is, like in this position here, how it started was in this position. And here my opponent has 2 pawns, so has a piece for just 2 pawns. But then, you know, d4 maybe not necessary, this move, giving this pawn. And then gives up the pawn on a6, recovers one of them, but then gives up the pawn on b4. And suddenly it's much harder to actually win, now with pawns for him only on one side. Whereas I'm viciously trying to hang on to my pawns and creating some threats. And after knight c5, okay, he now goes knight d3. But my question is, why can I not take? If I take here, then the issue is rook takes, that will be defended. If I take here, my rook hangs. I could give a check here, not sure that it does anything, the check. If I take here, however, it seems good to me. And suddenly I'm the one in command here. Yeah, he's gone ahead and he's taken there. And I think I can just exchange the rooks. Although one idea I have also is king here, knight check, king here. He can go rook here, but then I'd go rook here. He'd go g5. Yeah, I don't want that. That's more messy than I want, because then I'd have to step onto a checking square. So that's too messy for me. I'll take, one thing that's good is this guy is diagonally placed against this pawn. So I know it will take him a lot of moves in order to be able to hound it. So that's why I'm playing like I'm playing now. And I'd love to control these squares in order to give him some serious problems with his knight. Let me control the a2 square, the c3 square rather, because if he goes here, he actually doesn't have so many options even from there. So for example, if I can go here and he goes here, the knight doesn't escape. I'll go king b2. So after king here, I think the knight is just dead, because if he goes here, I'll go here. He'll have to go here. Then I'll go to d2. And he can escape if he goes king d4 and creates this threat of knight d3. But what I'll do is I'll go knight c1. I'll cover the d3 square. And then I think his knight is trapped. And yeah, that should be game over. So as far as I can tell, the piece is caught. And really, I mean, I've been very, very fortunate that in the last 2 games, I can say I haven't lost either game. And this one looks like currently I'm in a winning position. Very fortunate, because, yeah, I mean, it was just, yeah, the position was just a disaster in both. So he goes for g5, and now I'll go and I'll approach the king, the knight. Now he's probably going to go king here in order to... No, he takes a different approach, which actually I should have prevented this. Oh god, this I should absolutely have prevented. Okay, let's go. Takes. Now knight here, king takes, knight here. g4. Yeah, knight here. g4, I can check, king moves, takes, king here, king here, king here, king here, and king here, and I'm on a key square. So I know that this position is a theoretical win. And now one other thing that's important about this position, if you go here, 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 no, that's actually, sorry, it's not important. I can absolutely go there. In a different variation, you should go here, but not in this one. So this was a crazy game. It went in every direction. One thing very useful about, in order to help you with the count is just the one thing. It's like in this position here, I shouldn't have even allowed this. After this, I should have just played a move like maybe g3. And then I don't have to worry at all about any counts. But after going here, king f4 and king c2, I can actually do one count that I could have done. Let's say once I'm here, is to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5 moves, I queen. And him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same amount of moves. But I'm the first player to play. So therefore, the position should be fine if I promote. So in other words, I went for this other cleaner approach, but in this position here, after king takes g2, I could also have gone b4, takes, b5, this, because we each have... oh no, sorry. Ignore me. Today I'm just super exhausted. We each have 5 moves. What am I saying? Yeah, so in this position, well, I could have won like this, but a different point, which is just that the pawn could be covered. But what I chose to do, I felt was quite good, because the fact that we each have 5 moves, the fact that I'm first to play, what it just means is that I'm going to be the first one to queen. But if we're queening in 5, then we're just going to get a position where, yes, I'm the first to queen, but that's not relevant. If I was the first to queen on g8, then that would be completely relevant and I'd be winning. But not when the queen is fine. So that's not a good situation. But this one, thankfully, was harder to mess up here. The point is, for a pawn on b3, the key squares are the following. And so I just went straight for one of those key squares. By definition, a key square means that no matter whose move it is, it's a theoretical win if the offensive king, the attacking king, in this case mine, reaches one of those key squares. So it's a very useful rule to know for such events, for endgames.